welcome to Better Together podcast. My name is Brianna.
My name is Desmond.
And today's episode is a very special episode because it's our first episode ever. Woo woo, we finally here.
Finally.
Okay, the first episode is going to be our introductory episode, how we got together, how we came up with the podcast, and a little bit of basically our story. So, yeah.
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna lie. This is a little bit, we tried to practice doing like a test run, but I feel like now because today is a day, it's like I am a little bit nervous. I didn't think I was gonna be nervous.
Yeah, just a tad bit.
I'm definitely a little bit nervous. Okay, but you know what?
We got this.
We got this. And the more we get into this, the more it's gonna just be
natural.
But I think it's because we know like people are actually gonna watch this.
Yeah, they are. Hopefully,
so
watch this.
Hopefully they are. What you mean hopefully? Okay, so let's get into. You want to talk about first, like how we came up with the podcast name, or?
Yeah, I think that's important, like, because people want to know
how did we get here. So first of all, let's bring it back to about like a year or two ago. You had mentioned that you wanted to do a podcast, right?
Right.
And I was like, that's kind of like a good idea. And so we started thinking about names, and our first name that we came up with was what?
Healing Hearts.
Healing Hearts. And I love that name at first, but then I was like, that just sounds too ministry. Like,
yeah.
I just feel like for who we are, like that just definitely gave ministry all the way. And I'm like, I want us to have more of a subtle approach, like, more of a down to earth kind of name, to where people who may not even really necessarily like have the faith that we have will watch this episode because the name is catchy, because the name is cool, and honestly be impacted, not even knowing, that this is a type of ministry. Yeah. I definitely believe that, this is a start of ministry for us. And so like, I think that, this is going to be a good thing. So what do you have to put into that? Like, what do you?
Yeah, Healing Hearts was a good name, but we both made a decision. Like felt like it was just too like spiritual, or so people if they would have saw the name Healing Hearts, they probably wouldn't have. We probably wouldn't reach the type of crowd and type of people that we really want to reach. So. I don't know how my wife came up with it. I don't know how Bree came up with the name. I think she was going through suggestions or something like that.
Yeah. So so let's take a pause. We came up with Healing Hearts about like a year or two ago. And we like made a Facebook post. We announced that we were going to start a podcast. Yeah. And then it just went completely like nothing. And then like, I don't even know what it was. But like we had always said that we still were going to do it. We just didn't know really the timing. But I really felt like God was pushing us this year to actually do it. And so like I started looking up suggestions. Like I was like, we need a catchy name. Like I was like, Healing Hearts is cool, but like I said, I just don't feel like that's us. And so I was looking up some suggestions on ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT didn't give us a name, but like the suggestions that they were giving, it was kind of catchy. It was like, I'm like, okay, cool. But then just based off of the suggestions that they gave, I was like, what about Better Together? And so I asked you about it, and you was like, yeah, Better Together. And I just feel like that just...
It just sticks.
It's perfect for a couple, especially, I feel like there's even biblical, meaning behind that, because like something that God has always highlighted to me is that there's power in number. And then especially like, with a union, like
marriage period,
what it represents, like, and so like the impact of two people, or, just being one. And so, that was the start of that. And then let's talk about how even after we came up with Better Together as a podcast, and I was like pushing for it, we kind of had some moments where you were kind of like, let's just not do this right now. Like, let's just hold it off, push it off. And let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, life.
You gonna look at me?
Life happens. Life happens.
Well, you can look.
It happens sometimes, and when life start happening, sometimes you just kind of forget, or just don't want to do it. You don't want to do it sometimes, and that's just the way the enemy trying to get you to stop or feel defeated from the things that God has called you to. You know, because I feel like with this podcast,
Yeah.
it's going to, like birth something. It's going to ignite a fire, within us, to continue to do more even from this. This is just the start.
Yeah.
So I just believe the enemy was just trying to throw certain things out there to keep us from actually starting the podcast. Yeah. And we actually were supposed to start it a year ago, I think, and we posted it. And then it's like right after we posted, we was going to start
warfare started happening.
All warfare started happening. I mean, I can't even name it.
But I'm not gonna lie, that is what let me know that God has really purposed this though, because like where you find the greatest like resistance at is usually where God is really doing something at. So like that's why I wanted to like press through and do this podcast, because I'm like, I know there's something in it. And then let's get into how many times, even after you was like, once we came up with a new name for the podcast, how we kept seeing, like hearing that phrase "better together," or like there were certain things that we saw that we believe that God was affirming to like go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I think it really didn't start until like, I think, was it towards the end of last year or the beginning of this year? One of the two.
We came up with the name "Better Together" like maybe towards the end of last year. Like,
yeah,
right?
But I'm saying, well, really like say we're just going to do it because we were still kind of like, well, I'm gonna say me.
I was the one that still was like, no, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, she was
because you definitely was just like, not right now, and I'm like, no, like I know what I felt, and even with some of the things that you experienced, like when we took Emmy, or you took her somewhere.
That's what we're gonna get to.
Yeah, you took her. Go ahead.
We took her to the doctor.
We took her to the doctor, but I didn't notice it. You noticed it.
I noticed it only because I think I was praying the night before, or it could have been like a couple days before that, and I believe me and my wife was having a conversation. Me and Bree was having a conversation about something I can't remember, just about the podcast and what we're doing in this year in 2025.
Right.
How we won't just be stagnant anymore, and just all the things we talk about, we're just going to do. We're going to put into actions. And, just being completely honest, you know what I'm saying? Trying to find that, or just get into certain things and not want to start and just stop, or want to feel like it's not going anywhere. I was kind of hesitant. So I was just like, God, this year, if you called us to this, I don't want to do anything that you're not calling us to. I don't want to do anything that we're going to start and stop, start and stop. I don't want to do that no more. So if this is what you're calling us to, if you called us to do this, you're going to show me a sign. And that's just how I talk to God. I talk, everybody have their ways and how they talk to God. So I think I was talking to God, being real. And then I was like, just show me something. Just show me anything. And then Emmy, I forgot what was happening.
Her ears was hurting.
Yeah,
I think
ears.
she was like, she had some ear pain. So we took her to the doctor. And the crazy thing is, he prayed specifically for God to show him a sign. And that's how you know that God was speaking to you, because I didn't even notice the sign, but you noticed it. So we can get into exactly that.
Yeah,
like,
we was sitting there, and we was waiting on the doctor to come back there and talk to us, letting us know what it was. And then immediately, I think me and you was talking about something, and then all of a sudden, I looked down. Emmy has this Mickey Mouse shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Mickey Mouse shirt. And if anybody know it, seen it in Walmart or wherever we got the shirt from, it has a heart, and then it has the Mickey Mouse characters on it. Mm-hmm. But in between it says "Better Together."
Honey, I didn't even notice that. And when you told me that, I was like...
And then I looked down, and I saw it immediately. The first thing popped in my head. Like, it was like God just showed me, like, boom.
Yeah.
Like, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is your sign.
Yeah.
I'm showing you pray for a sign, and I'm showing you in the most silliest ways, because our ways are not God's ways.
Yeah.
So we always got to think about that. How we think is not how God thinks, and He reveals certain things to us in times when we're quiet and when we just have to really be still enough to really
Recognize,
see and
yeah.
recognize when God is showing us, because God's not going to always speak to us verbally. He's not going to, we be looking for God to speak to us with words or whispering in our ear,
Hearing them.
hearing things.
Yeah.
But God shows us signs all in different ways.
Right.
It's just if you're paying attention, if your spirit man is connected enough, paying attention, you should be able to relate or see when God is trying to show you. So that was the confirmation was just like boom, oh yeah, like we're getting into it. And then I told Bree.
You told me after though, like I don't even think you told me we were in the. Did you tell me we were in the hospital? I feel like you told me.
I told you in the hospital.
You did?
Because you was like.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did. You did.
I told you.
Because I was like, no way. Like, and I was the one who bought her that outfit. So yeah. I'm like, I didn't even recognize. I just was getting her something, and that's how I'm telling you. That's how God works. Like I didn't know that outfit said Better Together. I never, because I think it was like a 3-piece set, so it came with like a sweater shirt, the sweatpants, and then an actual shirt. It may have been her shirt that said Better Together. Yeah, so I didn't know that it said Better Together. And I'm like, that's how God, like, works around stuff. So that was a confirmation. Then I believe we were watching some preacher or something, and they literally said something about Better Together. And me and you, we were sitting down, we looked at each other, was like, this is a sign.
I think it was Apostle Darren Farmer. I think we was watching him.
I don't remember. We watched so many different.
We do, but I think we was watching one of his services, and he was talking about it, and it was all through ever since we seen that her shirt say that, it was sign like back to back.
So that's what let me know that we had to do this, because even after that, you still was like. Because we had some stuff, that we need that like was going on, and you was just like, we need to just wait. Like you was trying to, and I'm like, no, like we have to do it, because the thing about it is there's always gonna be something going on, know, and it's like if you feel like God has called you to something, you just have to do it. So I was kind of more adamant about let's just not wait, because we waited the time before, and look how much of a delay that was. You know what I'm saying? So like, I was like, no, God is giving us sign after sign after sign. I believe God is blessing this. Let's go ahead and do that. So that is how we came up with the name Better Together. Yeah. Now we're going to get into the juicy part. How we met. Yeah. And then how we met. And then we can talk about a little bit about, our story and like how we got married. We got married real quick.
We did.
So let's start with how we got together, how we met. Okay. How did we meet?
The good old Facebook.
The good old Facebook. The good old. You know what? Don't judge us, because
the good old Facebook.
God ordained this, and you just never know how God will bring people together. So Facebook definitely was the start of it, and honestly, like I think you had wrote me, like you was writing on my picture.
I was writing.
He was going crazy, and the crazy thing is, I
was going crazy.
I wasn't even like, I didn't even recognize that you was in my inbox. You was really like in my inbox a little bit.
Yeah, I was.
And I wasn't paying you no attention until one day. This is right when I had my hair cut short, and you wrote me, and you was like something about Nia Long. Like, look what you say. I can't even remember.
I said something. I think you had on. Was it the blue outfit?
I think I had on a blue outfit. And you said something about like Nia Long or something like that.
Yeah, I said something about Nia Long.
Yeah, you said something. You said he was trying to spit game. He said something about.
She was looking too good, I was like, man.
But now he don't want me with my short hair at all. So whatever. But it was fine when he met me. But anyways, so he was in my inbox a little bit, like. I can't even remember what he said. He was really trying to spit game.
I was trying to spit my game. But I ain't gonna lie though. You was curving me.
I was curving you.
You was curving me.
It was about for a good 2 weeks.
Yeah, she was curving me heavy. Like I don't know what it was, but she was not trying to and I would see her open it up, but she was not responding.
I was not responding. This is how it went a turn for the better. Because I really wasn't recognizing you at first. Because honestly, I at that time I was getting a lot of people that that was like inboxing me. So I wasn't
a lot.
Yeah, I wasn't really wasn't really.
Boy, we'll get into that.
I wasn't really paying you no attention. But when you wrote me that one day, you just said something funny, and I was like, this guy, like I don't even remember what phrase you used.
I said Jesus of Nazareth.
Yeah, he was like, sweet Jesus of Nazareth. I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah.
This dude is funny. And literally from there, we engaged in conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to be honest, I still didn't think that it was going to go nowhere because I just was
Cause she was into thugs. She was into street niggas, street dudes. Sorry, excuse the niggas, but that's just me.
This is our podcast.
Y'all gonna have to, get with it, But this is how I talk. You was into street niggas and all that type of stuff. So
I was.
She was about to curve me. She thought she was gonna probably like, okay, let me see how far this go.
But
she was going on a couple dates.
No, but at that point, I wasn't really like, I don't even think I went to your profile. I probably looked at your profile picture, but I really was snooping through your profile at that point because you just was, saying stuff. I wasn't really. But when you started writing me on Facebook more often after that, then I was like, okay. And I don't remember how we exchanged numbers, but you was like, look, let's throw this in there. You was like, one day you was like, I just want to get to know you and all the beauty that come with it. Like,
hey. It was just flowing. Every time I saw a different picture,
then, y'all,
he
sent me a voice message, and when I say his voice was so deep, and his voice is not like he really was trying to put that Mac Daddy on. He was like, yeah, I just want to get to know you, and all the beauty that come with it, or whatever you said like that. I was like, I had to
do what I had to do.
Yeah, you did what you had to do, and then we exchanged numbers and we started talking on the phone. Our first conversation on the phone, we spent hours together. And at that point, I was like, this dude is different. When I say we talked about stuff that I have never really talked about with other guys that I had been with, like, I feel like we kind of bonded more in the friendship initially off that first phone call. Like, we really kind of got to know one another because we was on the phone for hours. I think we stayed on the phone overnight, like, that time. Because I remember being on my couch with my feet up. You know how, my feet was, like, all up in the air, just sitting there on the phone, like, Like, that's how it was.
Those beginning stages.
Yeah, that's how it was talking to you.
Now she don't even want to stay on the phone. You see how that go?
I live with you. What I got to stay on the phone with you for? What I got to stay on the phone with you for? You don't even want to stay on the phone with me. Let's go there.
That's okay.
Let's go there.
We won't get into all that, but
Look how you try to.
That's how we.
We're not. We have to. We still have to talk about it though.
Okay.
Because this is just how we first started talking, but then we started talking every day, and then it got to the point where we were staying the night on the phone with one another. Like, we were on the phone 24/7. Like, we ate and breathed one another on the phone. Like,
went to sleep, woke up. Y'all know how it is when y'all first get together. Y'all know.
We wasn't even together.
I mean, we wasn't, but when y'all first meet somebody that
we
just
wasn't
on
together
butterflies and everything's connecting.
At that point, when we started being on the phone overnight, then I was like, I'm starting to like you.
Yeah.
That point.
I think I've been a new, cause it's crazy. I think I told you, but when we first got together, because I'm sure it was for you too, right before you met me.
We're not talking about how we got together yet.
I know we're not talking. I'm not talking about that. Ain't calm down, woman. I'm still talking about us, the beginning stage before we got together. Okay. Like, you were saying, I don't know if you were saying someone what you was kind of like cordially dating, going through your little phase or whatever like that with your guys, but I wasn't dating either. I was just, conversation with other people. I was
having conversations
with other people. And this how I knew, like, she was one. I literally cut, like, all ties off. Like,
as you should.
I cut all ties off. And we were just, like, we wasn't even dating yet. None of that. I just knew from, like, y'all just know. Like, y'all just know when y'all talking to the right one, when that person connects with your spirit, it's different. Yeah. And I'm not even saying anything was wrong with the other people. It's just, you just know, like, when God's placed you, even if the intention's going into it, or if you wasn't even thinking that it was going to go that way, when you pray and ask God for something, when you pray and ask God to send you someone, anything, and He really knows your heart. If you're not in the right position to receive that, you
might miss it.
Yeah, you might miss it, and you might abuse it even when it comes into your life. Miss that open door, that open space of opportunity. And I took that because God knows, like, He knew my heart's desire is to be with one woman, settle down, have a family. That's me. I'm a lover boy. So
yes, you are.
So
very lover boy.
So that that's how that started. But then I met her, and then we started talking on the phone all the time. And I just knew from conversation, because I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. I told her, I did not like church I'm a church boy. I've been born and raised in church. All I know is church all my life. I mean, raised in the hood, but church. My father's a pastor. All of that, So all I know is church, homeschool, and that's it. Nothing else outside of that. So I've always told myself I do not want a church girl. It may sound crazy, but that's just me. I said I don't want a church girl or too churchy. I want a woman that has a relationship with God, that loves God, that prays, that has all of that. Have the Holy Ghost, have the Holy Spirit, whatever y'all call it. And know how to get in touch with God for herself. But I didn't want a girl that just when you see them, you automatically just say, "Oh, that's Kojic right there. That woman is apostolic, or that woman saved." I didn't want that because that's not me. You know what I'm saying? That's not fitting to me. So I always said I want a balance, a great balance. It's good to have that balance. A woman that has all of it. She has that charisma, that aura about her. Like when you see her, you just know like that woman loved God. But if you look at her outer appearance, like you can still tell that woman, if you hey, she down to earth, but if you cross that line, that woman gonna cut you. That woman gonna cut you. So when I met her, I didn't even know that Bree, you know what I'm saying, had all of these qualities or had any church background or knew God or anything like that. And then it just blew me away.
I think that's what brought us together too, because like I said, first of all, I was baptized and was filled with the gift of the Holy Ghost at like the age of 7. I used to go to Christ Church Apostolic, and Elder Walker baptized me. But I had never shared with anybody that I spoke in tongues because I didn't think that people, I thought people were going to look at me different. Like, no man that I ever was with, I didn't talk about that with my friends. But our first conversation on the phone, we got into all of that. Like, we talked about some real stuff, even like spiritual things that that we've encountered and seen happen. Like, I was able to express that with you, and that's what made me know, okay, this man is a little bit different. Like, he's not somebody average. And still at the same time, what's crazy is before we met, I had lost a guy that I thought I was going to be with for forever. He was murdered, and like that is what took me away from wanting anybody that was a thug, because I'm like, oh, this is what comes with that. I don't want no parts of this. Like, I can't bear that. But I remember before meeting you, this was months before meeting you, I remember praying to God, and I was like, Lord, I want somebody who loves God. Like, I want somebody that's a God-fearing man that I really don't want to say this on this podcast. That knows how to
love you correctly.
Love me correctly in every way, if you get what that means. I wanted that because I'm like, let's just be honest with ourselves. If we can't be satisfied in certain areas, I just believe it's gonna be hard to stay with somebody. You want to be happy, whatever. So that was my prayer. I was praying. My prayer changed. Like, I was used to thugs all my life, and then once he was gone, I was like, yo, I gotta go for something different. So I started praying, and I was just like, God, just give me a man who loves God, like, and then months later, you came in, and I want to say, what?
Hey, me along.
Oh God. And yeah, you came along, and it was so crazy because this was at a time I was not looking for it. And I feel like that's how God really worked, because I was at a time where I was really getting to be in tune with who I was. Because I was kind of forced into that situation because the guy who I was with was no longer here, and I was at the point where I was like, I feel like I ain't got nothing. Like, and I really was turning to God at that point, seeking God. I was in my word. When I say I was reading the Bible, like it was a book, like I would take it to work. Like God was really pouring into me and, showing me who I was in him, and even, in a sense affirmed who he's called me to be in him. And so I believe because I was already there, then you came along. Like I think that God aligned the perfect opportunity, because like you just mentioned, you was praying for something like that. I was praying for something like that, but I had no idea that months down the line I was going to meet you, and it happened fast. And I guess we can get into now like our first our first date.
First day.
Because we were talking on the phone for about 2 weeks,
2 weeks
before we actually met.
Yeah.
And when we met, you pulled up to my house, and
I pulled up. The crazy part here, because this was one thing about me. I'm like, man, look, I don't know if she stayed with a nigga. If a nigga really stayed there, like, you know, people be lying and stuff. So
I ain't never been one of those.
You know, people be lying about it, yeah, but I ain't know for sure. So just to make sure, I pulled up, like, not exactly where her location was, but like the next side, but I could still see her from if she coming out or anybody coming out. So if I needed to skirt off, if something happened,
that's he sounds like
do.
He's been through some trauma.
That's what I was gonna do. But you know, she walked out, and I'm like, okay, you know, she looking good. She was looking all nervous, like, Lord, like, I'm about to go with this.
I really am a nervous person. Before I get to meet people, like, I'm really kind of like,
y'all gotta know her. Like, once you know her now, like, you could tell with like certain movement, like, and her eyes give it away with everything. Yeah. Like, she do this little thing when she bat her eyes, like, that's when you know she's nervous, like, or she don't know what to say. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? She come out, and then she see me. I think I blew my horn or let her know it was me. She comes out to the car. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I was a little nervous too, but I don't never try to show it. You know what I'm saying? I don't never try to show it, but she was nervous. I could tell. So we went to. I looked up this place. And I think this was my first time ever doing this on a date too. You know, with anybody like this. I think that's just to start. This how you knew it was different. I'm like, you know what? This time, instead of trying to impress her and try to take her here and there, you know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna take her, you know, a little ice cream joint, you know, and be good and sit and talk. Actually, take the time to get to know her, you know, talk to her. So that's what I did. I took her to her first day. I took her to, what's this called? TJ's Sweet Tooth.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Off of Michigan Road. It's an ice cream place. It's a nice place. If y'all live in Indy and y'all need a date in the summer just to sit and talk, and it's a vibe. I think it's a vibe. Just go get some ice cream. Go hit them up. TJ Sweet Tooth on Michigan Road. And yeah, just sit and talk. But yeah, we went there. You know, I had the music. I don't even know what I was listening to.
R. Kelly.
Oh yeah, so
he was on some whole other stuff, but we're not gonna get into.
Nah, I had R. Kelly on. Cause R. Kelly, you know, he sets the mood.
Yeah, you know what? Let's take a pause right there. I think at this point I knew you were a church boy.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got in your car and I heard all the R&B, I said, "Oh, he a different type. Like he ain't too." And that was something that I was like, okay. Like, I want a guy who loves God, but I didn't want a real extra churchy guy either.
Right.
So to see you on the level, like, I'm like, okay, this guy can actually match my vibe. Like, some of the songs you was playing, I was like, okay, like, these are my songs too. Like, I can get jiggy with this. So that you was definitely playing R. Kelly, but I feel like you was playing some other stuff too.
Yeah, some other stuff too.
You was playing some other
it was
stuff.
A mixture of R&B stuff or music. I just knew that, you know. And I wasn't even trying to do it to impress her. Like, that's me. If anybody know me, that's me on a normal. Like, I love a good R&B playlist, a mixture of music, genre music. If it's good music, I'm going to listen to it. So, yeah, we was riding. I don't even think we had much conversation on the way there. But after we got the ice cream, we literally sat in the parking lot.
Oh, yeah. We were there all night. Yeah.
All night. And talked
and
talked. Just about all kind of conversations, just like...
You was telling me about your siblings. That was the first time I heard about Darnell. I remember you telling me about Darnell. Because I think we were talking about the music and how you got introduced to that kind of music. And he was telling me Darnell, your brother Darnell.
Darnell put me on all that.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah.
Yeah, he put me on all that music. Yeah,
then let's get to a part where we leaving. And what did... He asked me...
Oh yeah, we leaving. So this remind y'all, this is the first date, first time actually seeing her in person.
It's our first time meeting in person.
We talked for 2 weeks, but first time in person. So I don't know what it was. I'm taking her home, everything like that. I'm taking her home, and then I don't know what made me say it. I'm just like,
I don't think we even left the parking lot good. I think we were still like we were leaving out the parking lot, turning out, and you asked.
And we was turning out, and I was just like. I popped a big question on her, y'all. I popped a big question. I'm like, do you? I don't even know how I asked. I just remember me asking, but I was nervous. I was nervous. I mean, the first time seeing her, I'm like, she about to shoot me down. Like, I don't even really know how this date went, even though we talked for hours. I'm like, I'm just gonna say, hey, if she say no, she say no. But I'm like, I'm gonna ask. So yeah, I asked the question. I'm like, hey, do you want to be my girlfriend or something like that?
Yeah,
In
he
those
said something.
words.
I don't even remember
I
how
don't
he
remember
said it.
how
It
I
was
said
something to
it.
that effect, and I was just like so shocked. I was like, but I think that I like my spirit said yes before I could really
Yeah.
like actually say yes because I was just like, yeah,
Yeah, she
like
said
it was
it,
nothing,
and
like
I'm like, what?
like it
That
was
blew me.
nothing.
It really blew me.
And just thinking about that, like that's actually crazy because
Yeah,
this is the first time with us, and let's just say that we've been together ever since.
yeah.
Ever since the day that you saw me in person, we saw each other in person for the first time. We've been together ever since.
Ever since
Ever since. And yeah, you asked me to be your girlfriend.
August 30th,
Yeah, August 30th.
2020.
2020? Was it 2020?
Yeah, 2020.
Oh, I thought it was 2021. No,
No,
2020 because we got married in 2021.
exactly.
Yes, August
August
30th,
30th was
2020.
the day I met her for the first
And
time.
he asked me to be his
And I
girlfriend.
asked her.
And I was like, you know what? Heck yeah. Like, yeah.
Then every day she had me jumping in the car from Far East to all the way to the North Side, and it was so uncomfortable for me because
It wouldn't
I
have been
didn't.
that uncomfortable because you was pulling up every single day.
That's my point. You know what I'm saying? Usually I wouldn't do that. So that's how I knew like she had to be the one because I'm not just North Side because when I first met her she did hair. Well, she still do hair, but she
I
had
was
her
actually
own
full time
yeah
doing
full
hair at
time
that
doing
point.
hair.
Yeah.
And she had her
At
little
home.
shop,
Yeah.
had her own little suite, and then I was going out there. She
Honey,
worked a lot.
he was pulling up. He was getting me food.
Yeah, I was
Sometimes
pulling
he
up.
would sit there with me while I'm doing my client's hair.
Yeah,
That was yeah, like I feel like those. I'm just saying, man. Like this, thinking about everything, God was really, really in
yeah.
that for real, and like things moved for us so fast. We dated for about 6 months
Mm-hmm.
before you proposed, and you proposed right
Yeah.
March
March
13th,
2021.
2021. Then by September 11th, we were married that same year. So we moved like so
real
fast,
quick.
and it was so many people that were like, "Are you sure you want to do
Yeah,
this?"
a lot
Like,
of people.
and I just want to say, like, when you know that God has told you to do something, you have to, funnel out all the noise. Like, you have to really follow God. Imagine if I didn't follow what God said, what type of predicament I would be in. I could have missed, what God called me to. And I knew that God called me to it. But let's get
But
to the point where let's.
before that though, like before like you saying about the people, all the people that was asking us, are we sure?
Yeah.
All of that, just to piggyback on that, because I will, if those that don't know, I once was previously married before.
Yeah.
So with that being said, of course, family members and friends gonna ask, like, are you sure this time around? Because you once was pregnant. I mean, I said pregnant. Lord help me. Once was married. Not pregnant over there, no.
Mm-mm.
But once was married, and yeah, that ended in divorce. But God does all things well.
He's a redeemer.
And yeah, He redeemed. So, yeah. So people was asking like, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this?" But I believe during that time in the space of my life, I really wasn't really. I didn't really care about what people said because I was in the face of God enough to know like if I was making the right decisions.
Yeah.
I just needed God to direct my path.
Right.
It's not about the approval of men.
Mm-mm.
I understand your family's gonna, they care if they love you,
Right.
they're gonna ask those questions.
Right.
But it's not about that.
Yeah.
Now at the end of the day, you got to follow your heart, and you got to, know if it's the right move for you. That's what God wants you to do. Even if everything don't pan out right there in that moment the way you might see or want it. You got to allow things to happen in God's timing. Because if it's from God, things will begin to come together.
Yeah. I wouldn't say follow your heart because the Bible says it's desperately wicked. But I would say follow your spirit, follow what God told you, because
That's
you knew, you told me you heard God say
Yeah.
to marry you. But let's also get into that part a little bit too, because before I even came, you said you went to a church and there was a prophetic word
Oh
that
yeah.
somebody gave you
This was
about me. So
this is before I even met her too.
wait,
Like
yeah, before you met me.
this is before I even met Brianna. I just remember one Sunday, my brother did praise and worship at a church. Quinn, he did praise and worship at a church called Fervent Prayer on East 30, I think 38th Street. And every Sunday morning before I went to our church, I would go and visit them, or go some Sundays and just sit with them before I went there to my church. And I remember me walking in. I was getting my kids ready. It was weekend. I had my kids, and then I was running late too. Everything was happening that
Ooh,
day.
it was trying to hinder that word.
Yeah,
It was trying to hinder
I
that
mean,
word.
everything was going on. But all I remember me walking in, and I sat in the back. I don't even think I was there that long. That's the crazy part. I wasn't there that long. And I just remember, I think his name is Pastor Jackson. Yeah, Pastor Jackson. He was up and he was preaching and he was ministering, and then I think he asked, he was like, "Is there a Desmond here? Is there somebody named Desmond?"
Oh, he called you out by name.
Yeah. He said, "Is there somebody here named with the name of
So
Desmond?"
he didn't even know you?
He didn't even know me. He didn't know he saw me before because
He never knew your name.
We didn't talk, and he never knew.
Wow.
He never knew my name. So it's crazy how God works.
Yeah.
He never knew my name, Quentin. So Quentin looked back and it was like my brother, and I stood up. First, I sat down. I sat down for a while because I'm like,
this somebody else.
yeah, it could be
Say for
somebody,
me.
because he didn't say nothing yet. But I'm like, okay. I'm like, how ironic you say Desmond, but there could be multiple Desmonds in here. So I was waiting to see if anybody was gonna stand. But just that's how God worked. I was literally the only Desmond there.
He said, "Baby, this word is for you."
Yeah.
Hiya.
But anyway, yeah. He said that, and I stood up, and he was just like, literally everything he said to me was like, especially in that season of my life. Oof, yeah, I just don't know. In that season of my life, everything he said was just like so spot on, and I'm just like, how would he know that? I'm like, I know Quentin do person work, but I know he didn't tell him that. Right. So he was just like, yeah, pretty much just talking to him, and then he said, pretty much that everything you lost or everything that happened to you, it's pretty much like the Job experience. If you ever read the book of Job, and he pretty much said like everything Job lost, God gave back to him double, and everything was going to be better, family better, marriage better, everything would be better. And when he said that, I was just like, okay, God, I received the word, but literally not knowing that. Few months, I think it was, a few months after that, or could have been, I don't even know if it was in 2020, could have been 2019, but a year after that, that's when I met Brianna. So it was just like.
And you know what's crazy? Even with that being said, some people have prophetic words that they're waiting years to come to pass. Like I've heard stories about people having prophecies about meeting their spouse, or a husband or wife is coming, but it takes 4 or 5 years to happen. Yeah. So even the fact that you received a prophetic word a year before is really kind of quick. How how swiftly like God moved. Yeah, because like most stories that I've heard.
I said a year, but it could have been before. That's what I'm saying. I don't really know the time frame. I just know that's what was prophesied to me, and I received that word. No matter what I did after that, after I left, I still received that word. I just knew like my wife is coming. And God knew that's what I desired, so he was just waiting patiently. He was trying to see if I was going to trust him. And then a couple of years or maybe a year after that, in 2020, is when I met Brianna, and it's just been up since there.
Yeah. And I would like to say too, because I know that we probably have people that are single watching this podcast. Yeah. It is so important for you to really be in the face of God to know who God has called you to. Because I believe probably even before you can confirm, or, before you got that prophetic word, like you were in the season of isolation and hearing God and like, really into God just as much as I was like, on my own journey like really taking the time to be in the face of God and, you know, hearing what he has to say. But I will say that he did not tell me my husband was on the way. It was more so when you told me, like God said, you know, to marry me. And I was, you know, I kind of, even at that point, I was like, are you sure? Like, you know, I was a little scared because you had already been married before. I come from a lineage of people in my family that has been divorced. So I, you know, I was a little scared about that. I was like, I don't want to be in a situation to where, you know, we don't make it.
Right.
But after some prayer, you know, I believe that I heard, you know, I know that God told me that this is what I should do. And so it was a step in like a leap of faith to even say I'm going all that way, because I'm going to be honest, like I never thought that I would be married ever. And it's crazy to say I know that God has blessed this union because you're my longest relationship. You're my longest relationship. I've never been with someone longer than, like, straightforward, longer than probably like 6 months.
Wow.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But what I will say is I think that there was things that were wrong with me that needed healing. You know what I'm saying? And I believe, like, even our marriage and us being together has brought me through that. Like, and that's something that I want to talk about in the later podcast. But, like, you know, just marriage being a mirror. Like, and I feel like I didn't really even understand the magnitude of what marriage was until after we got married, because there's so many people that are on Instagram and, you know, Facebook. They show the glamour of it, but they don't really talk about, you know, the rough times and so, like, I've never been married before, and I was kind of just like, I know this feels right, I want to do this, but, you know, yeah, I mean, there was challenges that we had to overcome, but yeah, overall, like, I definitely know that God is, you know, moved through our marriage and blessed our marriage and even grown me and matured me spiritually, because the place that I was in right when we got together, like, if you look at my pictures back then and you look at my pictures now, you can even see over me, like, a difference, like a change, like a big change. And I feel like the person that you're with will pull the God out of you. When it's a sign, when it's something that God has called you to, you will both pull the God out of each other, the purpose out of each other. And
you said that was good. The purpose. And she's saying,
not potential.
Listen, the purpose out of each other, which means we're not just talking about ministry. And when you hear that, or you think, people automatically think we're talking about when it comes to ministry or God or godly things. No, God, the purpose that God put in us, with even in our careers, marketplace and job, just who God has called you to be. Like, when you're with that right person, like, you will start to see those things be birthed, or that person will just pull those out of you, or ignite something in you to, like, you know, they're gonna pour into your vision, pour into your dreams. Everything is just gonna align, and I believe that's what God, I saw in her from the beginning. So that I knew that this was from God, because everything that I said from the jump, from our first date and talks that I wanted to do, like, she supported. Mm-hmm. And not only did she support, it was like,
I believed in.
She believed in it, or she believes in it, and there's always something even on her end that she does that kind of, like, you know, balances my visions out. Like, she's good in those areas to help, you know, because she's, you know, influencer. She does hair. You know, so she's art. I didn't even know all of this. I didn't even really know, even on Instagram, I didn't know what all that stuff mean. I just knew she had a whole bunch of followers. But, you know, how she has the following, she know how to do all, like, everything in the areas and the things I want to do. She know how to pretty much do it. So to sum it up, she know how to do it. So I just believe that God was already aligning me with someone that was going to pull that side of me out, because I had the spiritual side. Yeah. It's still growing, but I had that. You know, I told you I was in church all my life, so that's all I knew. Like, so it didn't take nothing for me to know, like, if something happened, I know how to get on my knees and pray, or automatically do that. But when I'm talking about natural things in life.
And that's where the balance comes in, because I knew, and God told me that I would be that for you. But he also told me you would be the one to pull the spiritual part out of me. Because I remember, and y'all, this is our podcast. We're going to be real and share our story. We lived with each other before we were married. Yeah. And I remember always seeing you in the house on your face. And like, I knew that, like, that, I was like, what is this? Like, I grew up in church. I kind of got away from it because of the environment that I grew up in. So there was parts of that I never really had experienced, but I believe that God was trying to pull the worshiper out of me. And so like when I would come home and see you like prostrate on your face praying, I remember one day I just went down with you and I just started doing it. I was like, okay, like, and I believe that a God ordained relationship will do that. It's a balance for sure. And so when we say better together, that's exactly what we mean in every area, because we make each other better.
Yeah.
We make each other better. And so yeah, I guess that really kind of wraps up the first episode. Do you think there's anything else that you want to like get at?
We didn't talk about the day we propose, or how we let, how fast, like how everything happened so fast leading up to our marriage. Like I proposed to her in March.
Well, I did say it was 6 months. You would August. How much was it August between March? I feel like that was 6 months, and then maybe another 6 months between. That's what I
literally almost yeah
6 months, and then
almost
after 6 months of being engaged, then married. But then also between that time, literally right after you proposed, I ended up pregnant.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. You gonna say sorry?
But it happened
right after you proposed.
Happens.
Yeah, I mean it's not no secret. Everybody know we got
everybody know it is. So it's so we can go ahead and get that out there. We didn't get married because she was pregnant. I already proposed.
He had already proposed.
She got knocked
so the
up.
plan was to get knocked up is crazy. The plan was to get married anyway.
Right.
He had already proposed before I was pregnant, so it wasn't a situation where it's like, oh, you're in church and people gonna look at you different because no, he had already proposed. And I just so happened to get pregnant literally probably 2 weeks after. Yeah, you proposed March 13th and I ended up pregnant when we went to Miami, and that was still in March, I believe, or yeah.
That was crazy.
Crazy work. Yeah. But yeah, so the 6 months between the proposal and the marriage, and I ain't gonna lie, our wedding was I loved our wedding.
But she's skipping some major points.
Well, I don't want to make the episode too long. That's why
it's okay, because I believe they need to hear this.
Okay.
See, this how because it all ties into the podcast and why we say we're better together, and how we know that God called us to be, even when things happen in our life, to try to detour that and send us some different routes. And God called you, no matter what, even through that. You're going to stick together because we know that at the end of the day, God has called y'all, because y'all better together. And we knew it was from God to get married or to be with each other because of the signs, even leading up to our marriage. You can forget that.
Yeah.
All the things that was happening. Like when I say finances, all of that from our wedding venue.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Talking about the favor.
Yeah, the favor of God that was on our, on our life. Like the moment we said we was going to get married,
make that decision to go forward with that. God literally started blessing.
He started. I'm not lying. It was just to y'all. It was back to back. When I say supernatural, it's not like people in our life was saying, "Hey," or you going to people ask, "Can y'all do this? Help us with our wedding?" Mm-hmm. It was none of that. It was. God was just God provided literally. He was Jireh for real. We could talk about it from the venue. If y'all here in Indy, y'all know how it was Bella Vista. Y'all know how much.
They're not that expensive. They're one of the cheaper places, but
we ended up nice
with
price.
a better deal than what it was supposed to be. They cut off I think a couple thousand from.
It was 13,000.
They only played six.
Six or it was 13,000. They cut it down to 6.
Yeah.
If that's not favor, y'all can't tell me what that is. That's favor. Number one, my wife was stressed out. We were stressed out at first because all the places we was looking for, they're way higher. I mean, the prices was outrageous. The time for the date,
and then just imagine us trying to do all this in 6 months, plan a wedding, and we were proposed. I didn't even at that point when you proposed to me. I remember Jessica and Jasmine asking so how were you guys? I think they were asking basically what our plans for how we're gonna get married, and I was I don't know, So even at that time when you proposed, we didn't even have it established as to what we were going to do. Right. It wasn't until after that we decided to try to look for somewhere and actually have a wedding. So that was a lot of pressure in itself, and just to know that God provided supernaturally, like, increase for us to be able to plan a wedding. Not to even mention the pretty penny that we paid for our photographer. Yeah. Like, we came off of it, and I don't want to keep naming numbers, about how much we spent, but we definitely, that's how, when I say God provided, when God has called you to something, he will provide, like, he will cause provision to happen for you. And, like, we saw God's hand in favor in the whole process once we decided to push past all the little stuff that was happening and really just go for it. The venue, the photographer, but then the day that we got married, we randomly booked a hotel, right? You remember that? Yeah. And we paid for a regular room, and we ended up with the best room at the hotel. The lady, Desmond, had went in to, I think, get the key and check in, and she, I guess, did she ask you?
She saw that we just got married, and she literally gave us, she was like, oh, okay, instead of me giving y'all this room, I'm going to bless y'all. I'm going to give y'all. Did she say bless? Well, she didn't say bless, but,
I was like, oh, she
pretty much gave us the suite.
The best, biggest one, the best one that was there.
For the price of the
regular room.
regular hotel we had. So, yeah, this is how God works. Like, when favors on you, like, when you're doing
what God is telling you to do, he'll cause provision. He will provide. When you're in obedience and you're walking in what God is calling you to do, you don't lack anything. You don't have to worry about anything because God is going to provide.
Yeah, so I want to trade that day for
it was a beautiful day. Like, my dad, like, seeing my dad there and him just crying and stuff, like, it was so beautiful. But also, another thing that I wanted to talk about was how quick our families kind of, like, meshed. Yeah. And that was really important for me too, because, like, I believe that no, your family should not have so much say-so in what you do, but family meshing together, that aspect does definitely matter. And, like, your family, I mean, if anybody got a problem with Elliot, it's something wrong with you at that point. Because you guys are really just warm, welcoming, open, and loving people. And I would say from the time that I came around, all of your brothers and sisters welcomed me in like I was, like, their sibling.
Yeah, same. Even though I don't have no brother-in-laws.
Well, you have Grant. You don't have have Nene from because my mom and dad only had girls. So.
Yeah, but I love my sister-in-laws. I love Brittany. I love Benet. I love Brandy. Mm-hmm. I love them. I love my mama. I love my in-laws. Mama, Uncle Rick, Uncle Keiko. Yeah. I love Auntie Ashley. I love all of them. Even Aunt Charlotte. All of them. They're my peoples. So I definitely believe that when it's designed from God too, everything is going to come together. Yeah. Even with our kids, I love, even when we first saw each other, they all just got
literally along. Clicked. They clicked. That was something that I was a little bit nervous about because it's like, when it comes to blending a family, like and they're all around the same age, which is kind of crazy. Except for, of course, your older girls are a little bit older, but Landon and Bryson and Demaya, they're right there in age, and they just all of them got along really well. And so, yeah, we pretty much saw God bless what he told us to do, regardless of what people were saying. Yeah. And I believe even now, like, people kind of can look back and just see that, like, wow, God has really blessed our union, and not even on the tip of, like, finances, but just knowing that there's something over their lives that is different, and I can tell that, God is with them. And so, yeah, that just really sums up Better Together podcast.
How we got together, introduced,
yes,
got married, and how we came up with this name. So, yeah.
And I want to say thank you all for watching our first episode. We are so happy to have you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this. If this has blessed you, share this with somebody. Put this on your platform, whatever. Yeah. Okay, we need that. And also stay tuned for the next episodes.
And send it to someone else.
Yeah, I thought I said that. I said share.
Just in case she didn't say it, yeah. Share
Yes.
that button. So
Like, comment, share. Give us feedback. You guys can comment in the comments what you think, what you can relate with, whatever. We want to hear it. Also, for future upcoming episodes, I want to do a Q&A. If you guys have anything that you are wanting us to talk about, we would love to hear it. Share that in the comments as well. We love y'all. We thank y'all for tuning in.
God bless you. Peace.